Hello to everyone in Fiel Radio. I'm so glad to be back with a new program in this new year. And today I wanted to talk about something that is really close to my heart, and that is our self-image, especially as women. I think this is something really important to talk about, especially given the role of social media and the massive influence it has on our lives. But I think especially after this 2020 that was so rocky for everybody, I think it's so important to all these issues, discuss them and talk about them, especially those things that maybe are not so easy to talk about, because that will, I believe, remove the shame surrounding especially self-image, how we see ourselves, how we value ourselves, or how we don't, and how we may improve that. And one of the things that I especially wanted to talk about with our guest here, today we have with us Grace Jarrold. She's a teaching assistant for children with special needs, and she's originally from New York. Hi, Grace.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I saw a post that Grace shared on her Facebook page a few weeks ago, and I knew that I had to bring her on the program because she has a very, I think, a very unique journey, and still a very common one at the same time. We all live things differently. We all experience the same things differently. And I think she can give us a valuable perspective on self-image and self-worth. Yes. And this is so important to talk about. So I'm going to go with my first question. And that is, tell us about you and your journey and what you value in life.
Okay. Well, yes, first of all, I just want to say hello and hi to everybody. Thank you so much for having me on the show and having me be included in everything that you're doing. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. So thank you very much. And I am a, like was said, teaching assistant, and I've worked with children for the past 11 years, working with kids all the way from nursery aged students to about year 12. So I have a pretty wide spectrum of working with kids, doing youth work with kind of disadvantaged youth. That's what I've been doing here for the past year up in Northwest kind of England. I'm living just outside of London. So it's about northwest out of London. So I'm there, originally from New York. I am the youngest of 5 children, a daughter of missionary parents, and all 5 of us were born in different countries. So we all grew up traveling all over the world, having my parents be missionaries, telling people about Jesus, preaching the gospel. So traveling, meeting different people, experiencing different things in life has always been a great passion of mine, a great joy of my life. And I moved to the UK, to Portsmouth, 2.5 years ago, and almost 3 years now, and where I met Diana at church down there. And it's just been a real pleasure navigating life with those who I love around me, my family, my partner, and just serving the Lord, loving children, teaching children, and having them be influenced and understand that their life is meaningful, that what they say matters, how they learn matters, how they understand matters. And I think that's really important to instill that into young people, because as we grow older, we can remember those lessons and apply those lessons to our own lives. And as Diana was saying, with body image being a real kind of issue throughout, decades now, really, and especially in the last 20 odd years or so, how much has changed, how body image has changed, different stipulations of what you should look like, what you shouldn't look like. now I think it's a real kind of the movement of self-acceptance and accepting of others, I think is really improved, which I think is really great. And yeah, so I think especially for me, body image has been a definite struggle, issue, battle, so many different words you could say that, you know, so there's so many different platforms. So if you wanted to kind of ask more of a specific kind of thing I could talk about, I don't want to just feel like I'm rambling, because I don't want to do that. I want to give good information, so I not feel like I'm waffling.
So my second question would be that what would be some of the factors that influenced the way you saw yourself growing up, and how has the way that you see yourself changed over the years?
Okay, that's a great question. I have always been overweight. My whole life, I have always struggled with obesity. Me and my siblings and my parents, we've always used food. Food was always our vice, if you will. Food was always something that we took issue with, because growing up in a very strict Christian household, we knew that, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll were bad. You know, we knew that we couldn't do any of that. So what could we do without judgment or issue or sin, if you will, was to eat. Now, gluttony is still a sin, so there you go. But so I think I used food as a emotional kind of band-aid, you know, you call it plaster, for a bigger issue that, you know, if I was feeling sad, I would eat. If I was feeling happy, I would eat. If I was feeling rejected by people, I would eat. If I was feeling nervous about something, I would eat. So I used food as very much as an emotional tool. And then the more weight that I gained, the more I would feel bad about myself. So the more I would eat. So it was just kind of like this vicious cycle of, you know, and I used a lot of self-deprecating humor, where I would make fun of myself and joke and laugh off the fact that I was the funny fat friend. But that was okay, because I was like, that's my role. That's what I'm going to do in life. I accept that. That's going to be fine. It was only back at the end of 2016, which is what I wrote about in my post that you saw. My father passed away suddenly of a stroke and January 3rd, 2016. And that completely broke my heart, changed my world. I was very close with my father. He was a very integral part of my existence, really, and very influential with my walk with the Lord, and a very, you know, the patriarch of our family. And he was just gone. I said goodbye to him. He and my mother were going on a trip. I said goodbye to him like a million times. He's gone on a trip before and never saw him again. And so that extreme kind of shock rocked me to my core. And like, again, he struggled with his weight throughout his life. And that really sparked something in me to change. I wanted to change for the better. I knew I should lose weight. I knew I needed to be healthy. I knew I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to pursue that. And so, unfortunately, because such a tragic thing that happened to me kind of pushed me to a point where I did change, but because of that I could really pinpoint that as a really pivotal changing point for me in my life to change for the better.
And how has, obviously this is a very personal experience, and I so appreciate that you're sharing all of this. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I wanted to talk about is how your decision to lose weight, and you had an operation, right?
Yep.
To be able to lose weight.
Yes.
So is it, maybe this, you know, there's different opinions and different stances on this, but is it possible to want to change ourselves and still love ourselves?
Yes, absolutely. And I remember before I started, I've been on many weight loss journeys, gained loss, many, many pounds during my whole life. But the last one, I remember saying to myself, I said, Grace, when you look back at old pictures of yourself when you were heavy, don't judge her. Don't hate her. Don't look back in anger. Don't look back with disgust or shame or guilt. Don't do that, because that was still me. And I still loved life. I still loved my family. I still loved myself to a certain extent because I chose to get better, you know. So there was still an ounce, even though it was a small amount, there was still love for my own self there, because that pushed me to change. So now when I look back, I don't look at myself as like, oh my gosh, she's so big. Why did I look like that? How did I get that way? I look at a photo and I remember that was such a nice day. I remember we were here at that time. This person, I was so, you know, and I think we need to have a lot of patience and grace and understanding for our own self. And it's so cliche and corny and whatever, but honestly, and I'm still working on this. I still don't have it right. But unless you love yourself, unless you yourself want to change, nobody else can help you. The Lord obviously is always there and will always help you, and there's always a guide and an anchor and a help. But unless you yourself want to change, it's not happening. Your parents can't push you, your partner, a pastor, a coach, a personal trainer, a nutritionist. And if you don't want to make the choice yourself, it's going to be very hard.
So my next question would be about self-talk, because you actually mentioned that. And I think it's many times overlooked, that
Yes.
the way that we talk about ourselves or we talk to ourselves can so influence the way we see ourselves. So
yes.
What does positive self-talk look like and versus negative self-talk, and how impactful can it be on our journey either to a healthier lifestyle or to just feel better about ourselves in general?
Yes, it is very extremely, can't emphasize this enough, it is extremely impactful. I myself, I'm very an extrovert in the sense where I process my emotions and thoughts externally. So I will talk it over with my mother or my partner or a friend or something. I process different things so much better when it's audible and I can hear it. So for me personally, if you're not like that, if you're much more of a thinker, or if you're a journaler and you feel better about writing it down or writing letters, everybody's different in the way how they process different things. But for me, so I would literally talk out loud. So I like kind of give myself a pep talk. You know, hopefully nobody's around, but if people see the crazy lady in the car talking to herself, so be it. I don't really care. You know, really talk out loud, whether even when you're praying, you know, we can pray internally or pray in our head, again, writing it down or reading the Bible, etc. But, you know, really, really speak out loud and be like, Grace, we're going to have a good day. You're going to concentrate on what you need to concentrate. You are going to feel positive today. You know, if you're feeling tired and hungry and run down, then you need to make a better choice. Have you been drinking your water? Are you eating your fruit? Like just different things. Like I literally will talk out loud, like I'm talking to a child almost, but it's to myself. So if you've gotten to a point where you're feeling very overwhelmed or you're struggling with negative thoughts internally, just go to the side, find a private space, and just talk out loud and give yourself a pep talk and be like, you can do this. You can be calm. You can gather yourself. You can gather your thoughts. You're stronger than this. You're bigger than the urge to overeat or the urge to use bad language or the urge to contact a person you shouldn't be contacting or do something you shouldn't be doing, etc. I think it's good to always have positive things in front of you. Like if you have kind of like, I don't really like using the word mantra, but if you have a scripture that you really like, write it on a Post-it, put it on your mirror, put it by the side of your bed. So you're you're continually looking at positive things, because we're always looking at negative things. So fill your space with positive stuff. Fill your speech with positivity, and your thoughts with because every word, every phrase, everything we say starts with a thought. And where do the thoughts start from, right? So it's the thought, the speaking, the action.
That's so true what you're talking about. And also something that I also wanted to touch on. Obviously, everyone's journey is different, but I was curious as to how your self-image personally has changed over the years, and where you are now, and also how has the impact of what others say or think about you changed?
Yeah, funny enough, I'm thinking back to a time where I had lost a significant amount of weight just through diet. And what do you guys use? You use kg, right? And like weights,
yes.
Right? So I had lost about 45 kg. And it was through an extreme diet. So I ate about 500 calories a day. I was taking these kind of hormone replacement things. It wasn't a very healthy choice. Let's just say that. Okay. So people were saying to me, oh my goodness, you look so thin. You look so great. Meanwhile, I was hurting myself. I was not in a good place mentally. Anyone who suffered from any eating disorder, whether it be bulimia, anorexia, overeating, taking laxatives, purging, anything where it is physically harmful and mentally harmful to you. But because people were saying, you look great, it just fed into me, keep going, keep doing this harmful stuff, because weight is coming off and people are happy, because I equated, slimness, thinness with beauty, which isn't true. And that, in a way, they were saying nice, positive things, but in a way, it was kind of just fueling my own insecurities and my own kind of ill mental health at the time. However, when I decided to do it the right way, the people's encouragement was very helpful. So, and I also remember when I started losing mass amounts of weight, and I would say, oh my goodness, you look great. I mean, you've always looked great. You've always been a pretty girl. I'm like, I know I'm pretty. I was just fat. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like my beauty has never changed. Just my waist, the number on the scale has changed. My beauty hasn't changed. My personality hasn't changed. My mind hasn't changed. Just my physical body.
So I wanted also to talk about worth, and I think we've mentioned it, but
yes.
What are some things that are influencing our generation of women, and your generation, my generation, and the coming generations, in the way that we see ourselves, and how to change this, how to not be influenced by these ideals that are impossible?
Yeah. It's a good question, and I think it's a question that's been around for a long time, that I think people are still trying to figure out and document answers to, and all that good stuff. But I think just the first thought was, my father always used to say, number one opinion of your life that matters is God, and then next is me. So I was like, oh, that's easy, right? Nobody else's opinion mattered, because it was God, who I know loves me, is there for me, is wanting the best for my life, wanting me to succeed. And my father had the same exact thing, had the same exact thought. So I was just kind of like, okay. But a lot of people don't have family support. They don't have a church family or a close-knit family. People don't have that. So it's very important to, again, why I feel so strongly to encourage and teach young people, because it starts very young. You know, it starts on the playground when somebody looks a little bit different and they're like, oh, Sally, you know, you're fat, you can't come on the playground, or you can't come on this, you know, and that sticks with you, you know, any bullying that anyone has encountered. So it starts very young. So it's important to teach self-worth, to teach the importance of how you view oneself, you know. So it's not just, you know, because kids are very self-centered of me, I want this now, give it to me, if I don't have it, I'm going to scream, you know, and a lot of adults are like that too. But it's important to be self-aware, I feel, and not take yourself too seriously, because, you know, you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to go up and down, you know. So it's just kind of like, find interests, find what you like, find out what you're good at, focus on that, focus on, you know, not everyone's opinion of you will matter. It's going to hurt, and what they say may hurt, but it shouldn't take up any space in your brain, because it ultimately doesn't matter.
Well, thank you so much, Grace, for your time and for everything you've shared. And I also wanted to ask one last question, actually.
Yes.
And it would be just, do you think that having a weight goal is healthy? Can it be unhealthy? And what are some expectations that we should put on ourselves and some others that we should let go of as women?
Yeah. I think, again, may sound cliche and corny, but it's very true, because the focus should always be on health, not what your weight is, right? So because weight will always change, and weight is very, you know, it's such on a massive sliding scale, because obviously if you're a certain height, if you're a certain age, if you're a certain body type, you know, 100 pounds on you would look very different. Like, I'm 5'8", 5 feet 8 inches, you know, pretty big to medium build, 32 years old. So if someone was 10 years younger than me, a foot shorter than me, and we were the same weight, they would look extremely different. Because, so I think goals are important. If you are a certain weight, and you know medically and from a healthy point of view you should be a lower weight, I think it's good to set goals for yourself, whether it be long-term or short-term. I feel if you want to lose weight short-term for like an event or a wedding or a party or something like that, it's usually, you know, the case. Set it, but don't do New Year's resolutions, because those are always bad, because people always set them and then very rarely achieve them, and then they feel bad, and then it's that vicious cycle of, you know, going back into overeating, etc. But honestly, what I'm really focusing on now in my life, it's not dieting. I don't want to keep dieting in my life. I just want to change my eating habit, change my thought process, change my relationship with food, and in turn, I should have a long life of having a good relationship with food. Because if we think of it like, I have to diet, I have to lose, you know, 8 kg, I have to lose this, I have to lose this, then you're always going to kind of have that monkey on your back that's always just going to be like nagging at you, when you can be like, get out of here. I want to just choose to be healthy, whether that be just eat junk on the weekends and be good throughout the week, whether that be one day a week, I eat whatever I want, whether that's intermittent fasting, whether that's just eating no sugar, no carbs, whatever. I don't know what works for people, but I think ultimately it's focusing on health, not focusing on what the number on the scale is, because that doesn't determine your worth and your beauty. And focusing on good mental health first before getting your physical health in order.
Well, I think that's everything for today, but thank you so much. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared, and I wish you all the best in your journey.
Thank you.
And I think that's what we need to keep in mind, right? That we need
Yeah.
to learn to love ourselves no matter where we are in life.
Yep.
And that our worth goes way beyond what we look like into who we are as people. And
Yes.
And I think that's what we should focus on developing. And
Absolutely.
so thank you so much for sharing your insights. And
thanks.
I really see the hand of the Lord in your life. So I'm so grateful that you were able to do this.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you reaching out. And if anyone throughout this platform needs any encouragement or prayer support or any other questions about weight loss surgery, about mental health, about medication, about mental health, anything like that, I'm quite well versed from my own personal experiences. So, and just know that you are not alone in any struggle, whether you're, whether it be body weight or any other image, you're not alone. So any kind of struggle you think you might be going through, I'm not devaluing it, but just know you don't have to fight through it alone. And there's always love and there's always support from somebody out there, whether it be a friend or a stranger. I am here if anybody ever wants. So please encourage whoever can pass out my information. They can contact me, and I'd happy to have a listening ear.
I will. Thank you so much, beautiful, for your time, and I wouldn't waste it anymore, but thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.